Hey guys, what's up? It is Matt Lane, and welcome to the first ever podcast I'm going to be doing here in kind of a series format for the next couple of weeks, and however long we want to do this. Thankfully, I'm not going to be doing this by myself. That way you don't just have to sit here and listen to me jabber by myself the entire time. With me is Mr. Jay Buston over from Let's Jays. We'll have a link down here in the video to where you can go check out his channel or anything for his YouTube and his Twitch page. That way you can see any of the stupid shenanigans that he does as well. Jay, you want to go ahead and say hi to the people?
You're hurting my feelings saying that I'm doing these stupid shenanigans, but that's okay because I'll provide a nice subtle Boston accent to override your southern one. It'll be good.
Says the man who also lived in Florida for a time being.
We don't talk about those times.
Great times, but he's going to be joining me through this ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. I guess I should tell y'all what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about some video games, just short and simple, a variety, really? Right? In a variety of different ways. We'll kind of just figure it out as we go. We'll kind of just have a couple of things we talk about each episode. It's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes long, nothing fancy. Just talk about some games that are out and some games that are coming out, and just some thoughts from gamers ourselves, just kind of our viewpoints on it and how we, what we think, how we think, what we're looking forward to, what we're not looking forward to, just anything you could think of. I mean, that's pretty much all I would know to say. I mean, Jay, do you want to add anything to that before we dive into this monstrosity?
Yeah, just like the one thing to keep in mind is like these are our opinions, and if you disagree with them, you're wrong, and then you can just tell us about it in the comments section below, and we'll ignore you. It'll be great.
Fact. Fact. Hey, sure, you could disagree with us all day. It's not our fault you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we're just a couple of gamers, and we're talking about games that are coming out or that may already be out or whatever it is, you know, that we're talking about this week. And
absolutely.
Just, maybe we're excited about it. Maybe we couldn't care less. Who knows? We're going to go on this adventure and see where it leads.
I like it that way. And to keep ourselves honest, I'm going to have a timer in front of me. So, going to split these videos, or these podcasts rather, if you will, into a few things. One of which we're going to talk about a main game that'll kind of be the main topic of the podcast, and then that'll last for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to split it into two separate games that are coming out in the future that we'll both kind of equally talk about a little bit and do those for about two minutes or so apiece. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the timer right now. 5 minutes and go. So Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. New game that just came out, released by Capcom over the last week here. Very, very different from how Resident Evil has kind of been going in the past. I know Jay said that he doesn't really get into the Resident Evil series that much, but it's been more of
it's
been more of a action series, more so. I mean, obviously there are zombies and stuff, so there's this scary element there, but nothing anywhere close to this whatsoever. This is like going back to the roots of when it came out like on the PlayStation 1. And it's kind of hard to compare because obviously if you went and did that now, it just looked like so blocky that you wouldn't be scared by it at all, right? But when it came out, I mean, I remember playing that and going around this corner and not having any weapons of any kind, and you see this thing just over this body, like eating it, and it just looks up at you and starts walking towards you, and you're like, what the frick do I do? And it was terrifying, even though it was, you know, obviously it doesn't hold up now graphic wise, but the idea is that it was the tension and the horror because, you know, you don't have anything to do. You're trying to figure out what the crap do I do here?
Yeah, it's the fear of the unknown is certainly a big part of it too. Like, you don't know what's going to be around the corner. Could be nothing, could be a horrifying monster, you know?
Yep. And you add all that to modern day where you have these ridiculous graphics and mastered of sounds now that people have just figured out exactly what to do to screw with you sound wise. So it's rough. I'll tell you. I've played a little bit of it. I do not own it yet. I don't really get into horror games that much, so it's probably one that I'm probably not going to buy personally because I'm a wuss. I'll just say it. I'm one of those guys. Me and my buddy a long time ago tried to play Dead Space with the lights off, and it was the worst experience of my life.
That's on my I've had a lot of people calling for me to do that for like a Halloween stream. I tried to do Until Dawn this past year, and that didn't work out. I'm like you. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to scary things. I've never been a fan of paying to be scared.
Until Dawn scared you?
It's a horror game.
I mean, yeah,
there's some jump scares to it, and
there's a little bit. I guess I guess when I think of that one, it's not quite on this level.
No, it certainly is a lot tamer than other horror games. I'll give you that, hands down.
Just to give you a synopsis of what happens if you haven't already looked into it, Jay. So you're this guy named Ethan, and it is set no other than Louisiana.
Of course it is.
Down deep in the bayou. And essentially your wife has been gone / missing for a long point of time. You see a video of her in the beginning, and then it just kind of jumps to this point to where it's like, hey, she reached out to me after this many years, and like, oh, but she's been gone this amount of time, and you're going to this random estate kind of thing out in the bayou that looks beyond condemned. So you're like, what? There's a lot of questions of you're like, what is your character doing logic-wise here? Because we're just kind of just walking into this crap. But long story short, obviously stuff goes really wrong. And I don't want to do a whole lot of spoilers because it is a new game, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But
absolutely,
yeah, you get there, and obviously you don't just show up, get your wife, and then leave. You end up being there way longer than what you would like.
That's how these things go.
Absolutely. And better yet, which Jay brought this up when we were talking earlier, that this game is playable on the PlayStation VR, which would make this game 10 times worse. I'm gonna be out. You probably couldn't pay me to play this on a VR.
Well, first off, it's just I don't want to correct you or whatever. It's not just PlayStation VR. It's a PC game. It's an Xbox game as well as PlayStation. So it's virtual reality in general, which, is its own thing. But yeah, it just adds another layer of immersion into the game that, I'll pass, but power to you.
I personally will pass. It's definitely one of those games, like, if you are going to try to do it and get into it, I would say you pretty much have to do it with headphones, because otherwise you're not going to get the effect kind of that you would with all the ambience of stuff feeling as behind you or to your left, or to your right, or all this stuff. Like if you're playing it through a TV, it's still going to be good and scary, but it's just not going to be there.
Yeah, but for, like you said, like a full effect for it, like if you want to maximize your experience, I think a good solid pair of headphones is definitely a way to go. Absolutely.
Well, that's the 5-minute timer there. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I highly recommend it if you're into these type of games. Pretty freaky thing there. It will definitely serve you well if you're looking for horror. So on to the next topic. So in these next few, we're going to talk about some games that are coming out and just kind of go from there. All right, so the first game we're kind of going to talk about is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn. There's a game coming out for PS4 exclusively. It's going to be coming out sometime between late February and early March, depending on what country you live in.
Sorry, Europe.
Right. Very interesting concept here.
And Australia, I guess.
Well, who cares about the... very interesting concept because it's kind of like archaic cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's a very unique game.
Yeah, is the best way to put it. The best I can explain it, if you haven't watched the trailer, would be you seem to be some sort of primitive human of some sort. Like, I don't want to say caveman era, but...
It's certainly the vibe that gives off. It's like, you're not wearing like designer clothing. It's like more just found cloths,
Right. It's obviously like they're intellectual enough to where they speak languages, so they're not just speaking oohs and grunts. But they're definitely primitive. But however, there are these robotic dinosaurs that are going around, which throws everything off, and you're like, okay, well, that's not what I saw coming whatsoever. And when you watch the trailer that is officially out now, which I would advise you just to go ahead and watch if you haven't heard anything about this game, you just need to go watch the trailer. Essentially, the best I can gather from it so far is that there's this rival clan of some sort that is somehow managing to control these beasts. I don't know whether they made them or a lot of still unknown there, but long story short, they're controlling them and causing them to murder and destroy your village and others as well. So you're kind of your character, which ironically your name is Alloy. Kind of
it's just never like a common, like your name is Brittany and you're
right. Your name is Alloy, so it's kind of, I mean, I guess funny little pun there. It's your job to defeat the rival clan that's doing this, and you. The best I can tell from the trailer, it seems like your character is trying to unite some of the other clans. That way, they can kind of work together.
I wonder how well that job pays. I wonder if you get benefits for that.
Probably not. Probably none whatsoever. But another really, really cool looking exclusive from the PS4. The graphics look really beautiful.
Yeah, they do.
Really, really looking forward to it. Excited to see what kind of comes from that endeavor. And that's going to be it for that game. That's our timer there. So it's going to be Jay's turn, tossing it over to him for a game that he would like to come out. And you got 2 minutes and 50 seconds, Jay. Go ahead.
All right. Today I'm looking at Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm a large Zelda fan. I'm a huge Zelda fan.
You don't say.
Yeah, I know, right? I've literally played every Zelda game that's ever come out, save the CDI ones. We don't count those ones. I just can't get enough of it. This is a bold new direction for The Legend of Zelda. It's fully voice acted, which I have to admit, growing up playing, A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, I thought would never happen. But I like it. I'm down with it. It sucked me in. The latest trailer that came out during the Switch presentation. I'm a big fan of it. For the record, this game is exclusively for Nintendo platforms, specifically the Switch and the Wii U. Right. So, but that's kind of a given. I just figured
I feel like if you don't know the Zelda's exclusive to Nintendo by this point, you're just not a gamer.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like new things that they're doing with this game that I'm a big fan of. It's sandbox open world style, which is awesome. That's like my favorite genre. That's not really a genre of game, but kind of game, I guess.
Now, speaking of that, because I don't play Zelda, is nowhere near the level that Jay does. So I have heard, I just want to check with you to see if this is accurate. This might be like one of by far the biggest open world games that they've produced.
Certainly the biggest one that's come out of Nintendo. Yes. They had to pull in a couple of other resources and developers to help with this because it was just something beyond what they've really ever done before. Right. And it's just really cool. Like if you're on top of a mountain and you can see way, way, way off in the distance that there's a cave or a lake or another mountain, you can just go there. Like there's no loading screen between you and there. There's nothing stopping you. From what I understand, the entire world is more or less open to you right from the start, which is great.
Interesting. Now, is that do we know if it's going to be Skyrim-esque in the fact that just because everything is open does not mean you will survive there?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm assuming not because part of the whole world being open to you right off the bat is you can actually go to the final area. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can technically beat the game in 15 minutes, but you're going to get your butt kicked. You're not going to win that fight. So I would think so.
It'd be interesting to see some speedrunners prove you wrong on that one.
Well, yeah. I mean, there will be. Like, on day one, March 3rd, come, 10 a.m., there's going to be a YouTube video of the final boss being beaten with a 3-heart run, And, cool, power to you. Personally, like, I'm more invested in the story, invested in exploring the world and all that stuff. I care less about just putting the game on my completion list than I am actually getting immersed in it. And I know I'm out of time, but fun fact, this game has a sexual content warning, which is new to the Zelda series.
Really?
So, yeah.
Huh. Well, wow. Interesting fact to end on there.
I'm assuming it's because in the latest trailer they have just a quick shot of Zelda in like a lake bathing, I guess, more or less, or performing some sort of ritualistic thing. And clearly not wearing clothing, but it's all, shots from the back and whatever. Like you can't see anything or whatever. But it's like I saw that and was very interested. It's Nintendo's taken a big step with this.
Talk about an interesting stab there. That's gonna. I gotta mull over that one for a minute. Nintendo doing a sexual content warning. Interesting.
Never thought I'd see the day.
But yeah, Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm not even a big Zelda person, not because I don't like the game, just because I never played it younger. So for me, there's no nostalgia attachment there. So it kind of made it hard to get into it later. But I would even say, even from my perspective, looking at this one is certainly very intriguing from a non-Zelda player perspective. So very intriguing, and Jay makes it sound even better. So definitely put that on your list if you're a Nintendo person, or even if you're not, because it seems like it's going to be a pretty impressive thing in terms of game mechanics.
At this point, with the Switch coming out here in just a couple of weeks, you can pick up a Wii U for garbage cheap and pick that up with a copy of Breath of the Wild and play through it. And then when you're done, return them if you want. I don't really care. But definitely play this game.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be it for today's podcast episode. Appreciate any of you that stopped by to listen or watch. As I said earlier, thanks to Jay Buston for being here. He's going to be with us throughout this entire ride. And make sure to go check out either of his YouTube or his Twitch channel, either or. And we will see y'all on the next episode. But before we leave, we're going to have a question of the day, both for Jay and for any of you commenters out there. And Jay can go ahead and answer it. It's going to be on the spot, so this will be interesting to see where he goes with this. But for you personally, what is your favorite Zelda game?
My favorite Zelda game? That is a great question. It's probably a tie between Majora's Mask and I'm blanking on the name of it, which is horrible. Twilight Princess. If I had to pick one, it's Majora's Mask, but Twilight Princess was also a fantastic ride.
All right, so Jay Buston goes with Majora's Mask. So anyone else who feels like you were a Zelda fan and worthy of the question or not, just post whatever in the comments. Let us know what your favorite Zelda game or what your favorite game is in general. It doesn't really matter. Join the ride. As always, thanks for watching or listening on this one. I'm not really used to doing podcasts, so I guess I really can't say watching, but thanks for listening to our nonsense, and we'll see you on the next episode.